Mississippi State, the Bulldogs. Rest in peace, Mike Leach. You're my favorite coach in all of college football history. You're the best. But introducing Zach Arnett, who I think is the right guy for the job. And I did not see a lot of players transfer after the passing of Mike Leach either, which tells me something as well. That I think these players are bought in. I think Zach Arnett's a good coach. They have a lot of seniors. They return not just seniors, but talent. They're loaded on both sides of the offensive and defensive line. Give me the over 6.5.
Wow.
I'm going to ride it just like I did last year, and it was the easiest bet. It cashed so easily last year, and I talked about it all the time, and I like this again. I think it's a bit of a tougher schedule this year, but come on. From the East, you get South Carolina and Kentucky. That's doable. Out of conference, Arizona is a potential slip-up game, but I like the fact that they get it at home this year.
Yep.
So I'm going to have Mississippi State. I don't think I'm the only person, but, like, I also think that, like, for some reason, a lot of people do not have Mississippi State. A lot of people have them finishing last, and that is reflected in Vegas odds as well, finishing last in the SEC West, and I do not think that is the case at all. That is not the case at all. Offensive line, they lost with their center, LaQuiston Sharp, but you know what? Guess what?
Should still be a good team, a good unit.
Yeah, Cole Smith has played center. He's played snaps. It's not like they're losing experience. I mean, Emmanuel Forbes was awesome. The rest of the secondary was a little bit decimated in terms of, like, yeah, you're not going to be returning as much talent as you had last year back there, but I think they can still be fine. I mean, DeCameron Richardson is good. We know that he's good. I mean, the rest of the pieces, yeah, you're going to kind of be learning on the fly a little bit, and that is tough because week 2, it feels like we got to win that game against Arizona if this over is going to hit, and that's not a team you want to be testing your secondary against either, but defensive line's fine. What, they lost like 6 guys? I don't care. They're still good. The interior defensive line is good. And, I mean, edge might be a concern, but Zach Arnett has always found ways to put pressure on the quarterback. And that 3-3-5, he's blitzing linebackers. He's doing everything he can. He's always found a way. So I'm a big fan. Big fan of this team. And once again, the philosophy change for Will Rogers. Yes, it's going to be a philosophy change in the sense where they're going to run the ball more, right? You can see that they ran the ball, I mean, a clip like of the least amount of time in the entire country, right? And they also passed more than anyone in the entire country last year. That's going to change. And I think that could help Will Rogers. I think you're just have a lot of the same concepts. They don't want to complicate things for him, but he can do it, man. He's about to break every, like, SEC passing record ever. And it's going to be like a trivia question like 20 years from now when people forget who Will Rogers is. Like, who's your all-time passing leader in the SEC? Who's your all-time touchdowns leader? Like, this guy is a dog, and I'm a big fan of him. Big fan of him. And also, like, Marks in the backfield. Like, I think he's a true ball carrier, and I think they like him a lot. And, like, wide receiver, they're really underrated. Griffin, we know he's explosive, and I think Bulldog fans, correct me if I'm wrong, but they played him a lot on the outside, and that's just not who he is. He's a little bit smaller, and he's explosive, which equals probably more of a slot guy. And that's exactly what's going to be going on. But Xavier Thomas, Jaden Walley, Justin Robinson, they're good players. I have no problem with this receiving core at all. So they return a lot of guys. They're going to be probably better at receiver. They still got their quarterback, who's a dog. Still got Zach Arnett. And also, Zach Arnett's not going to be calling the plays this year, which is interesting, which I like in a sense because Matt Brock actually called the plays against Illinois last year or in the bowl game. And that was, like, probably their best defensive performance all year. You know, granted, it was the Mike Leach game, right? But, gosh, I love that. And they get the Egg Bowl at home. What are we talking about, dude? Give me this over. I'm asking Mississippi State to win. If they beat Arizona, right, and out of conference, and they go 4-0. That's an if, right? I'm asking them to win, 3 games in the SEC?
3 and 5.
Just give me 3 and 5 in the SEC. That's all you need to do for me, Bulldogs. I rode you last year. Not just in the over-under, but I rode you guys, and it was awesome. You guys were great to me. Except, of course, you guys beat Texas A&M, but I did have money in you guys that game, so little an eye for an eye, shall we say? But I'm really high on this team. So, sorry, I just took over there. What do you think?
No, I'm glad. You kind of took everything I wanted to say. The only difference we have here is I am scared to take the over. I am a little bit more concerned about the wholesale shift in philosophy schematically in terms of, offensive, defensive, complementary football. Kevin Barbay comes over from Appalachian State to be the offense coordinator. It'll be similar concepts for Will Rogers. That's why I'm not worried about him at all. I'm worried about everybody else and being able to run the ball a bunch. Obviously, Jaquavion Marks, they're super high on. I think he's going to be a guy that's going to get a lot of national attention, deservingly so. Wide receiver core, they did lose a lot. I still like the group. I think there's fine pieces. Tight end, they don't have any tight ends. I mean, they had to bring transfers in, because they didn't play tight ends under Mike Leach, obviously. But again, offensive line, like it's gonna be a scheme adjustment. Like it still should be good. Just because they were good last year with Mike Leach doesn't mean like I'm a big believer in scheme does help offensive linemen, and so hopefully they can get caught up by then. And I think that I'm not too worried. That's why I feel really good about this team. Again, and what happens if Will Rogers gets hurt? I mean, I like Mike Wright. I think he's fine. Is a guy that has SEC experience coming over from Vandy, right? But it's just obviously there'd be a huge downgrade because I think we're both high on Will Rogers. We don't think he's a system guy. We think he's really, really good. And defensively, I'm not too worried. I'm not too worried. I think obviously Zach Arnett. I think the offense will help the defense. I think there's still talent there.
Yes.
I think Mississippi State deserves a little bit more respect in terms of especially defensive. I feel like they produce a ton of talent defensively.
Tons.
Obviously, they're
it's
in the NFL. And David Turner deserves a ton of credit for that. He's the defensive line coach there. So they do lose some talent, but like they've also lost talent in the past, and they haven't really lost production. Jaden Crumity, I think, comes back from injury. Hopefully, he's finally healthy. He's a guy that they've been high on forever. Damont Russell, another guy that looking to take the next step. They do need some depth, and they do need some like pure pass rushers. So they're gonna have to blitz a little bit more than I think they would like to. But they got good linebacker core. They got like their secondary again. Like Mississippi State produces a really, really good secondary. I mean, they're gonna miss Emmanuel Forbes, and there's a defensive back that they also lost to, but they got Sean Preston. They got Elias Furge back. Marcus Banks, if you remember him from recruiting, he was a nice recruit that came to Bama. As a corner, he switched positions into safety, and he seems to be settled in super well. DeCameron Richardson is the next corner from Mississippi State to go on and going to do great things in the NFL. We both love this team. I think we're in agreement. I think the schedule is pretty dang favorable from what it could have been, right? If you're Mississippi State, you always have to play LSU, Bama, A&M. You're always going to be less talented than those teams. And then you get your crossovers. I mean, South Carolina, winnable game. It's obviously on the road, which is tough. Kentucky, very winnable game. It's not going to be easy to get the over for sure, but I think this line's a little bit lower than it should be because of extraneous circumstances that's happened around the program, and obviously very sad and bigger than football for sure. But I think Mississippi State's. I'm hoping they're gonna have a good year because they deserve it. That whole fan base, that whole school, deserves a great year, and I think Zach Arnett's gonna produce that for them.
Yeah, you can get the over 6.5 at plus money, by the way, if that's enticing to viewers out there. Just letting you know, so there's some wicked value out there with that. All right, if you ask me. Let's go Bulldogs. Come on.